Okay, there's one last video I want to go through with you guys. Sorry, let's get rid of that. Or one last video example that I want to do for you guys. And this one is about possibly having more than one solution. So here we're going to use a reasonable option to solve a problem with more than one solution. So a sales director who lives in city A is required to fly to regional offices in cities B, C, D, and E. Other than starting and ending the trip in city A, there are no restrictions to the order in which the other 4 cities are visited. So what we have here are the one-way fares for flights between each of the cities given. So you actually have the same information here in the table as you do in the chart. So it kind of depends what you prefer to look at. If you're reading the table, this is your starting city. So to fly from city A to city B would be $180, for instance. Or to fly from city D to city C would be $169. Here you have the same information, but in a chart. So if you're starting in city A and you want to go to city E, it's going to cost you $128. If you're starting in city A and you want to go to city B, it's going to cost you $180 and so on. So just something more visual, something more table-based, depending on what you like. Give the sales director an order for visiting cities B, C, D, and E once, and then returning home to city A, and his cost or her cost has to be less than $750. So that's the only restriction you have. So you have someone who is starting in city A. They have to make it to cities B, C, D, and E and back home to city A for less than $750. So you need to figure out the route. What's the maybe not the cheapest route, but what's less expensive route. So under $750, you don't want to be over $750. So there's a few ways you can do this. So one is you can just try it out. So maybe you pick something like this. Maybe you just guess. And you say, okay, I'm going to start in city A. Then I'm going to go to city B. Then I'm going to go to C. Then I'm going to go to D. Then I'm going to go to E. And then I'm going to go back home to A. So I'm just going to guess. I'm going to go right in order. Well, the cost from A to B is $180. The cost from B to C is $116. From C to D is $169. And then from D to E is $194. And from E back to A is $128. So one way to do this is to just guess, right? So try different combinations, see how you do. Let's see how we did. I have no idea, actually. I just guessed right now. This is not the strategy. I have another strategy to show you guys too. Okay, so I get $787 when I add that all up. So that is too high, right? Not gonna work. So one way is to just do trial and error. So this is one you can trial and error, think about your different combinations and see if you can find one that works. There's more than one answer likely here. So you could hit one with just trial and error. So just try them out and see what you get. The strategy that I'm going to use, and this is one that your book suggests, and I really like it, is let's try an order where we always make the cheapest decision. So for instance, we're starting in city A. And I'm going to fly to the cheapest city that I can. So if I fly to city B, it's $180. If I fly to city C, it's $114. If I fly to D, it's $147. If I fly to E, it's $128. The cheapest flight I can take out of city A is to go to city C at $114. So I'm starting here at A, and now I'm going this way to C. So now I'm in city C, and I can go to my table or my diagram, and I start in C, and I say, okay, what's the next cheapest thing I can do? I can't go back to city A yet, right? I have to finish everything first. So city A is out. I could go to B for 116. I could go to D for 169, or I could go to E for 115. Now, 16 and 15 are very close, but I'm going to go with the cheapest. I'm going to pick the 115. So I'm going to go to city E. Okay. I'm going to go from C over here to city E. All right, now I'm at city E. So I'm here. And I need to go still to B and D. right? I can't go back to A yet. I don't want to go back to C. I have to go either to B or D. Those are two of my cities I haven't done yet. So for B, it's 195. For D, it's 194. Ooh, those are both really expensive, but I'm going to go with the cheapest option. So I'm going to go to D, which is 194. So I'm going from E to D here. So I still have to go to city B. I can't forget B, so I have no choice at this point. I have to pick B. And to go from D to B, it's 145. Actually works out to be the cheapest option anyway, but so I'm going from D. Oops, not going that way, I'm going this way. Right. And I do have to go back home again. So after B, I have to return home to A. So it's going to cost me $180 to get back home to A. So let's add it all up and see how we did. So the strategy we're using here is we're making the cheapest decision each time. Now, it doesn't always mean it's the cheapest overall, right? Because we do have a really high cost here of 194, so perhaps there was a better way to do it. But let's see how we did. So I have 114, 115, 145, 180. Oh, I missed the 194. Let's see, plus 190. I get 748, and that works, right? All we had to do was be in under $750. So we got 748. So we're gonna send this, I don't know, the salesperson or the sales director onto this flight schedule. So he's gonna start in A, go to city C, E, D, B, and then back home. It's for $748. So we're happy with that. That was his budget. We're good. So this is the combination we're going to use. Again, this strategy of always choosing the most economical option at each turn may not necessarily be the cheapest strategy overall, right? Because we did have a choice here, particularly with E, where those costs were really high. And I do see that City E has some cheap flights, 128 and 115. So I'm not saying this is the cheapest overall, but it's a good strategy to try if you're trying to stay in under budget, right? So always kind of pick the lowest option each time. Let's say you were trying to maximize something, so maybe maximize profits, then the strategy could be to pick the highest option each time, right? Again, it may not be the best option overall, but if you have more than one solution, it could get you the one that you need, hopefully. If that doesn't work, then just trial and error. So maybe instead of doing C first, right, we had one that was also pretty cheap. So let's say we went from A. So A to C was 114. That was definitely the cheapest. So maybe we stay there. But for flight C, you know, we had a 116 and a 115. So maybe we should go to B instead. I just froze. Go to B instead. So if this strategy doesn't work, that's okay. Just use trial and error and try again. So see if there's another value maybe that would have been similarly cheap, maybe just a couple dollars more. But later on, it's going to save you money, right? Because let's say instead of choosing the 115, you chose the 116 to go to B first, right? Then we could have found another cheaper flight, maybe to D, and saved us money later on, right? So just trial and error, tweak until you find an option that works.